and this was all about the what did she call it? The bombs that were going off. He dropped the bomb. So this is going to be brought to you from an urban Native American perspective, a mixed perspective, and a secular perspective. And if you guys enjoy the video, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe, all that good stuff. Share the video with a friend. So how's everybody doing? Did you watch the episode last night? So we saw those very explosive clips from last week. So I thought we were going to get that episode last night, which we didn't, but that's okay because it was still a good episode, right? But we've been kind of building up to this. So all right, so let's start off. Okay, so we start with Dom and Mac, Dominique and McKinley. So they wake up and they talk about going horseback riding, and he's saying like how he horseback rode when he was a kid, and he's good at it and everything like that. And she's already been like a little bit lukewarm on him, but she says that good morning, Susan. How are you? Thank you for joining in. Did you watch it, girl? It was crazy, right? We're going to get into those a little bit later. But yeah, thank you so much for joining in. It's a dreary day here in the Pacific Northwest. I don't have a lot of sunshine to give you guys, but they had plenty of sunshine over there as they were talking about these, potential or not potential, these little activities that they had planned. So, yeah, it was right. So she's saying that her attraction level is about a 6.5. So, we saw that there was something kind of holding her back. Like she was kind of like this with him. And we were wondering what it was. I mean, I've heard different, things that, oh, maybe she's just not into him. Like maybe she didn't, maybe it's like the interracial thing or something. But I didn't think that. I didn't think that at all. I thought it was more like maybe something going on with like, maybe his age or maybe just a personality thing. And that's kind of what it comes down to. And she calls her mom and she's telling her mom basically like, hey, listen, I'm not too happy with like the way that he doesn't really like adventure. And she seems to be kind of a straightforward person now. This is a little different than party Dominique that we saw pre-wedding. We're seeing a little bit more of a mature Dominique, though listen, sorry, all right, you guys know me, very shady. I'm the fashion police, okay? Why can we not get some good stylists that can just like whip up her wardrobe? I understand she's young and she's an outdoors girl. So if she's outdoorsy, she's probably not into wearing all those dresses and stuff like that usually. But it's just giving very like going to the club, like in the early, I don't know, 2000s or so. I'm just not feeling the outfits, and we got to find something that works with our figure, right? So I'm not happy with the wardrobe. But anyway, so she tells her mom that he jokes too much and it's kind of turning her off. And as we get to see a little bit more of his personality, I kind of agree. When I first saw him, I thought like, oh, he's a nice looking guy, you know, like what's a guy like this doing, on this show if he's not all screwed up? But we know how they like to do us over at Married at First Sight, right? They'll give you all the sour apples and the damn barrel, honey. But anyway, so now we have Clint and Gina. So, they sit up here lying in our faces about how they're working on the attraction. And it's like, you don't have to continue with the facade anymore, okay? It's pretty obvious. Both of you guys don't, mutually, you're not each other's type. And then she starts talking about her job and going on and stuff like that. Now, listen, for those of you who do not know, I worked in the beauty industry for my entire work career when I lived in New York City, and I did that for a long time. And I worked in a salon, and I loved it. It was just, I can understand. I mean, I thought she was going to be like one of the more relatable people because, I know what it's like to be behind the chair and to do someone's hair and to like, be really into the different stories that they tell you. I really enjoy working with clients and making people feel really good, giving them some nice highlights or haircut or whatever. So I'm just, saying to say that I understand like how passionate she is about being a salon owner and stuff like that. I do, but I feel as though that, she's always talking about that. And I wondered to myself, like, actually, it's just kind of hitting me now. I think she just talks about that because she has nothing else to talk about with him. Now, she maybe does that, and she probably has done that in her other relationships where her job is so, central to everything that she is, and she does, at least at this stage in her life. But, once again, she's cutting him off. He can't get in a word. And edgewise, now listen, everybody knows I do not like Clint, all right? But I'm thinking if this, in another scenario, you don't want to talk about your job constantly and you want to let people finish their sentences. I hate that. Don't, I have a bad habit of doing that, though. I have to admit, I'm kind of guilty of that because, like, I talk kind of fast, right? So I kind of misinterpret like the speed. Like, so if you're talking, if your conversation flow is a little bit slower than mine, I accidentally cut you off, but then I shut my mouth and then I try to like, oh, that person's not finished. Let them talk, and it really gets worse over the phone where I can't see a person's face and I'm constantly cutting them off. Oh, it's terrible. I hate. It's something I have to work on. But anyway, but yeah, he's saying that, like he wants to get to know more about her than the salon. But I kind of think, for both of them, that ship has sailed at this point. I don't think he really gives two dams about her because, we'll talk about that later. So now we have Eris and Jasmine, and they're off and they're getting their couples massage. And once again, she's catering to him physically. She's massaging his feet and, giving him that Kang treatment, right? Because he's a Kang. Anyway, so, and as he's, planted face down, he's like this, look, he's like, he's like this into the pillow. He's like, yeah, I'm really happy with the pace that things are taking right now. It's like, I'm really enjoying this slow pace. The slowness is so good for me. And she's like, slow, like she's confused, right? Because that's not the conversation he was having with her last week when we were dragging him, okay? Dragging him, reading his ass for filth last week. But, so now all of a sudden he wants to take it slow. But we already know what that's all about. And, she's already concerned because she feels as though that she has to, try to, jump through a hoop or, reinvent, discover, string theory or wormholes or something like completely mathematically impossible or something to try and make him fall in love with her, right? And I'm like, I mean, I love that she's, she has really put her all into it and everything, but at this point, like your red flags have to tell you, and like, hey, listen, this is just not the person for you. In addition to all the failed matches that Mass has provided us with for the past 16 seasons. Okay, 11 couples have made it, and I think we should scratch that off and go down to 10 now because Olajuwon and Katina, thank God she got away from him. But so now Chris and Nicole, they start talking about their past sexual histories and stuff like that, and he started, they start saying, what they did in the past and everything. And then, what their fears are with one another. And, he's like, I'm just really afraid that, I won't perform very well and, you won't be satisfied. And, he's traumatized from that past relationship. That woman that he was with, that he said that he was with, what, for a year and a half, I think he said, and they were together intimately 3 times. I said, wow, ouch. Now that's different if you guys have made the decision to, we're both kind of hyposexual and this kind of works for us. That's fine. But he definitely wanted more, and he is so scarred by that. And he wants all this attention and affection and affirmation, which Nicole totally gives to him. But, we still have to see, what levels he can handle. Because, Nicole is a little bit of a lot, right? But they still seem to be a good match so far. I think they're just working out the kinks. And I'm sitting here, my husband's sitting there beside me, and he's like, no, you don't say that. He was like, come on, dude, you don't say that. Like, there's certain things like you just kind of keep to yourself, you know what I mean? And I mean, I understand he's feeling a little insecure about that, but I mean, that's just like a normal thing, right? To be afraid that, you won't be able to please your partner in the way that they want to or something like that. But, and I'm glad he's being open and he's communicating and he's being vulnerable. But I don't want to see too much vulnerability. You know what I mean? We don't want to wet the blanket. Like, just Nicole is so into you. As long as you just tell her she's pretty, she's going to like, you're good. You're good. Just don't worry about that. He's worrying too much. Definitely worrying too much. Okay. So, all right. So now it's time for all the couples to meet up with one another. And, I always like to see this because I want to see, the interactions with, different castmates. Because, honey, some of these couples have swiped before with one another, right? So now, okay, so I'm gonna go down the list of like all the different things that some of the people were saying, or I'll go down a list of what some of the folks are saying. So Dominic or what's her name? Dominique. She goes like, "Has anybody had any disagreements yet?" And Clint's like, he's over there lying. He's like, "Oh no, no disagreements. Everything's going really well, and we're just going through the process." Blah blah blah, lying, absolutely lying. And then Eris is talking about blowing out backs and all this stuff. And Clint, did you blow her back out yet? And I was like, Clint, see, this is why we don't like you, right? This is why, we were trying to stick up for you for the red haired people across the world. But I cannot even mess with you right now because, just like the little stuff he says, it's like, I don't know if he's like not, it's like Dominique said, like he doesn't read the room, right? And I come to find out a little bit later on that actually he's from New York. So I'm like, is he from upstate though? Like, where? I mean, I don't know. He's kind of, I don't know. He's a little different to me, but I just was like, everyone was sitting there like kind of uncomfortable, like, and I'm sure what's the name? Eris is probably like, don't be talking about that now. And then, so Kristen and Gina, they start like gently explaining how they are softly unattracted to their husbands, and Clint's like, oh well, yeah, I mean, I normally go for more of an athletic, more slender type, and let me tell you, the daggers around. I mean, oh my God, if looks could have killed. And the thing is that okay, I'm just gonna say, listen, I'm very one of those type of people that who really believe that if a person has a type and it's not like totally fetish, yes, that's right, he is narcissistic. I mean, because like we've seen different things that he said throughout. So it's not, remember what our parents would say to us, it's not what you say, but it's how you say it, right? So if that's normally, if you normally have a particular type, then you would more or less, maybe if someone's asking you, what do you normally go for? You may say, oh well, I usually kind of go for this, but I'm open to that or something like that. I mean, if it's the truth, or if it's not the truth, don't lie. But for him to voluntarily say that was like, you know, I had two minds about it because in one way he's definitely getting back at her, right? Because last week we were so mad at her for what she said about his hair and his facial features and coloring and stuff like that. But this was a little different though, because she was definitely dead wrong for saying that. Because she volunteered that. He didn't ask her like, "Hey, like I'm kind of self conscious about my red hair. What do you think about it?" "Oh, I can't stand it." It wasn't like that. She just came right out and said about his red hair features. But this particular thing, he was asked, right? And about, like what are your issues and stuff like that. And he volunteered to say that, hey, I don't really like, women that are, he didn't say I don't like women that are thicker. He says I like slender, more athletic. And if that's what he usually dates, that's okay. That's totally okay. We can't get mad because we're not all a size, whatever. So now Gina is pissed, honey. She is very pissed off. And all the other women, probably with the except, come on, let's be honest, with the exception of Jasmine, because Jasmine is very, she's very fit. She's not what I would consider to be curvy. And it's just like now you're not just offending this woman, now you're offending the other women that are there too, and they're sitting down just thinking you're going to be telling them that, hey, oh well, we're not getting along because she likes to scuba dive and I like to horse ride or something like that. They're not sitting around thinking that their bodies are going to they're going to be made to feel like their bodies are not good enough, right? So this is the thing with Clint. He just doesn't, I'm not saying Clint is a terrible person, because I mean I've seen definitely worse assholes than Clint, but he just doesn't, he's too busy trying to be like Mr. Show Off, Mr. Like I'm the best or something like that. And it's like, honey, you are so not that. Okay, you are. Look, honey, you are nowhere near Jason Momoa. Okay, we'll just say that anyway. So now all the ladies are mad at him. And then, Mac all of a sudden, like he starts lying about, he's like, oh yeah, I've never been on a horse before. And she's like, her face, Dominique's face was like, what? Didn't you just tell me that you rode horses as a kid? And, so that's like another strike against him because, she wants someone, she's a country girl, right? So she wants someone who's a little bit more outdoorsy and stuff. And not, it is not that he's just not outdoorsy, is that he complains about a lot of stuff. And that is a little bit of a, he's a little bit of a downer, I have to admit. So everybody gets horseback, everybody goes horseback riding together, and they're all, in the water. My husband thought that was a really cool scene, and it was really nice. But of course, Max, his horse shits, right? So he's all upset and everything, and now he's got more to complain about. He's just like a grumpy old man. He doesn't look like an old man, but it's like he just needs to work on that personality. I don't really understand. So then we go back over to Eris and Jasmine. So he starts talking about how he is very slow in this process, and he wants to remain in this kind of like in the slow lane. And of course she's confused, and he says on camera that he's basically like, it's kind of like a friend vibe he's getting from her. And I listen, I said it from the very first episode that I thought he was not going to be into her. It was just something, he just seemed so shallow to me that I just knew that, like, he was gonna like criticize her smile. And I'm not saying that a person cannot, like, have their preferences about a smile or something like that, but I think he just kind of is picking her apart from head to toe. I really like, if he could say out loud what he was thinking, I already know what it is, but I'm not gonna say it. But I just think some of it is like, more the aesthetic stuff. And um and then he starts going about, like, talking about how it was interesting to see how the other couples interacted, because he was trying to get that tea, right? And then he goes, yeah, and Nicole, she's sitting up here talking about, she wants to, get her, well, the term he used, get her back blown out and all this crap. But now she's slowed down. I think she's not into him. And I was like, excuse me? Like what? Like where do you like why, what makes you think that? Just because they haven't been intimate yet. Chris is not you. Chris is actually an honorable person, okay? So, they're still trying the process. They're affectionate, they communicate, they have a chemistry and a mutual attraction, which is undeniable. For him to sit up there and say that, he's just trying to deflect off of him. That's all that was, right? So now Clint and Gina, they get, they're together and they start talking, and they're pretending that they don't hate each other when they know that they do. And then Mac later on starts like trying to backpedal, or clarify his lies, but basically he's saying that he knows that he jokes too much and stuff like that. Now I didn't take that as a joke. To me, that seemed like he was just lying. Did you guys think that that was a joke? I didn't seem like a joke to me that he had been on a horse before when he had never been. And he's, oh my God, he's such a Michigander. He's such a Michigander. He reminds me of like some of my neighbors, when I was a kid when we lived there. But anyway, so now it's day 7, and what's his name? Oh my God, see, that's a sign of my age, right? I can have the words written down and also be like, what's his name? I need to take some of that. What's that stuff? Those little supplements you see, like that come on TV, that are supposed to help you give like clarity for senior citizens or something. So embarrassing. Shaquille and Kirsten, that's it. Shaquille and Kirsten. So they decide to take a dance hall class, and there were these two instructors, and they were doing a pretty good job, I have to say. Like, they got the moves like pretty quick and stuff like that. And he's moving, and he's like six, like 5 or 6 feet behind her from what it seems like. And I'm like, yeah, you better enjoy that view, because that's about all you're gonna get. You're not gonna get any closer to her after this, right? So, she's saying, she has some fun and stuff like that. And she's telling us, like, oh, I'm feeling more, like we're getting to know each other a little bit more, like we're getting closer. And I don't mind his bowed head. It's always about his bowed head. Right? And, but I'm used to his bowed head now. So now we're back with Nicole and Chris. So they go kayaking and they start discussing like their different pet peeves and stuff like that. So now this is what I'm talking about, you guys. Listen, if any of you guys decide to go on television or reality TV or anything that crazy, please do not be giving too much information that will allow people to drag you, because the whole, oh well, I do laundry. Yeah, I do laundry like I do it like every couple of months or so. I said, what? Listen, Chris does not strike me as someone that has a wardrobe that's the size of, Calcutta or something like that. So if if you got a normal guy's like non-fancy wardrobe, then I'm gonna assume that those clothes need to be washed like at least once a week, right? I mean, how often is he recycling clothes? But see, that's me. I'm judging, right? I mean, he put it out there. What do we, what am I supposed to do? But Nicole, see, Nicole, I really hope they work out, because see, Nicole is made for this guy, right? Because what did she say? Instead of going like, ew, gross, she was like, oh yeah, well, I do it twice a week. Like, let's get this together, this hygiene situation together. And don't worry, I'll take care of it. And, and then I just like the way that she lifts him up, because that was really a moment where she really, because honey, let me tell you something. Had they matched me with somebody and he told me that he only did his laundry every 2 months, I'd be like, producers, is this thing, excuse me, producers, we need to get we need to get a reconnaissance mission over here, because this is not going to work out for every 2 months. No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. But whatever. But, she says things like, there was a time I noticed in that scene where she goes, oh, what a strong man, oh, you're such a strong man. And I was like, she really knows how to stroke his ego. Like, she's really like, she's so into him, and like I feel like he needs that. I mean, not that women should be, oh, we're made to stroke men's egos or something like that, but his ego is fragile, and he is kind, and he does seem to be into her. So the fact that she reciprocates with things that kind of give him like feelings of like, it gives him like something to, it's like feelings of affirmation, like words of affirmation, that's what I should say. And I just think that, if this is the right guy for her, which I hope it is, Nicole could be like a perfect wife. I mean, in terms of like, being very supportive and kind and affectionate and stuff like that. I mean, I know everybody thinks, oh, she's too much, but I don't know. I mean, he seems like he kind of wants a little bit of too much, but maybe he has his breaking point too. We'll see. So, excuse me. So now the ladies are all on the beach drinking together, and the guys are at the beach drinking together. So Chris says to the guys, just as I was about to say, oh, she's perfect for him, he goes, well, the one thing about her, I mean, she's really great and wonderful, but she does kind of hold my hand too much. I was like, oh, Nicole, you starting to smother this man. She might be, but I still think that they have to just find out where their levels of comfort are, and he has to express that to her. And I think he should have maybe said that maybe first to her than he did to the group. But and hopefully she won't take that too harshly or anything like that. But can you just see her, just like her hand holding his all the time, just like gripping it and always like swinging arms. I could just see it, right? Nicole, she's a lot, but that's okay. And then Clint says that, oh God, why did he say this? So Clint tells Chris that, oh, you know what? Yeah, it's real great and everything, but you got to make sure you keep a balance on that, because, he's basically saying like Nicole's going to steamroll him if he's not careful. Like, he'll lose his voice and everything. And I'm not seeing that. I think he just, because he's so used to, going for people that maybe don't have opinions or don't express them, or just maybe looking for like some kind of ditzy type of woman or something. I don't know what he's just on some shit. Okay, that's all I can say about that. And I'm like, and Chris was, going like, okay, I think this guy, he just needs a little bit of attention, because I mean, who is he? Come on, you're in this process just like everybody else. Just because you're a little bit older than everybody doesn't mean that you necessarily know more. Because look at what's his name? Aris. He's 39. You know what? That's funny. You know, I didn't even think about that. Aris is almost 40, and Clint, he's 40, right? They look like war. I mean, God, because I mean, Aris, he acts and he looks like he's in his mid 20s. Him, they don't look like they're the same age. But anyway, so then Eris starts telling the guys about his lack of attraction to poor little Jasmine, and that is like kind of at a 4. And the guys are kind of looking at him like, all right. And then Gina, she's she's with the girls, and they start talking about his little fat shaming comment, right? And Nicole goes, I would have killed him. I was like, I know you would have, Nicole. Nicole would have went off, right? And then here's the part that was like a little, I don't know. Gina goes, well, I mean, not that it matters, but my waist is a size 26, by the way. Uh, what? 26. Are we talking like in Scandinavian measurement? Like what is this? Where's this 26 coming from? That girl is not a 26 on a good day. And you don't have to be a 26. That's I mean maybe the 26 number is something that you you measured like several years ago, but you know 26. And that's the whole thing. So I think now that I'm realizing a little bit of why. Of course, I understand why she was offended by the comment that he made, but I think what poured more salt onto the wound is that she has an image of herself. I think she sees herself as like someone who's maybe, because she seems a little bit tall, like someone who's tall and slender yet curvy. I think that's how she sees herself. And I think that she feels like now that he's telling her that he thinks that basically she's fat, then so it's a double, it's like a double whammy for her. But it's like, girl, you can be curvy and you don't be throwing out numbers like that on national TV, because people are gonna drag you. 20, come on, 26, girl, you gotta come on, you gotta get out of here with that. But and then the women are like, how could he say that? And Nicole's like, and he's sitting here with these like 5 curvy women. I'm like, let's not put Jasmine in that category. Jasmine is okay, listen, Jasmine is the athletic type. Now, I'm not saying facially Jasmine is his type, but I think Jasmine, the kind of body that Jasmine has, is what Clint would be into. So I don't think we can put, I know, Nicole, you're trying to make everybody feel welcome and into the thing, but I wouldn't consider her to be within that category. But even Jasmine felt offended. Everyone felt offended, like that was just such a rotten thing to say. Now, when he was initially, when he first made that comment, he said, and she told me that she doesn't like redheads. And then she's like, and there's that. So, no one really had anything to say about what she said about his redhead comment, which it's like, come on, if we're going to be honest, they should kind of call her out about that too. But because they're so busy being offended because, they have the body type that he's not into, they just kind of let that go. But, whatever. But, it's the girls huddling around the girls, how that works. So, then Clint, he tells the guys that, what, I don't know why she's in this. Like, maybe she's just, this whole process is just to promote her salon. And I said, promote her salon? I said, I don't think that's what this is about. I mean, I know she's really into it, but I think it's just, she's not into you. It has nothing, I don't think she's in here trying to get fame or anything. I mean, come on. There's other ways. She's too busy to be doing all that, right? She'd be rather like be working, being on the construction site and like, just like doing walkthroughs with the contractors and stuff. She's not going to go on national TV for this. I don't think so anyway. But, I thought I was going to relate so much to Gina, but I don't know. I kind of feel like, she said she would take anybody, and the red hair threw her off so much. But then she also said later on that she specified she didn't want someone with red hair. That's the matching people together once again. That like giving Kirsten someone with a bald head when she specifically said, I don't want someone with a bald head. But she's a good woman and everything like that. But I still think she has some things she needs to work on. I think this kind of process is not exactly for her. I mean, she could have really went off on some other times more than what she did. But I still feel like I don't know, because if we saw Gina match up with somebody else, would she still not be talking about her salon all the time? Would she still not be cutting people off all the time? I don't know. I don't know. I mean, Clint, I just don't want to see on this show. Period. Like, period. The end. I don't want to see him. Let him go find his little athletic, whatever, wherever he can. I mean, hello, people. You weren't able to do this by yourself, so now you need help, right? That's why you're on here. Anyway, so now Mac, he tells he tells excuse me, he talking about Gina. He goes, man, oh man, she's sexy. Gina's sexy. She's gorgeous. And all of a sudden, did you see Shaquille and Eris's face? Like, oh my God, you said that out loud. And you know what? I don't think there was anything wrong with what he said. I mean, he did. I mean, I think he's just trying to say, like, hey, I think that kind of type is spot. Because basically, I mean, Gina and Dominique, their figures are kind of in a similar. I mean, Gina's taller, but, they're both curvy girls, right? And when I say curvy, I don't mean like, very, very plus size, but just curvy. And especially like a southern version of curvy, right? So, I don't think there was anything wrong with that, but I feel like Eris and Shaquille felt like they would never say that out loud or something like that. But, I think he was just kind of standing up for Gina a little bit in that moment, and standing up for women who are curvier. But they have different dating preferences. I don't think Clint is used to maybe dating as many ethnic women. Maybe that's kind of seems what I'm getting from him versus Mac, who's used to dating women of different backgrounds and stuff, right? Didn't he say he dates white, Latin, and he said he's kind of off and on with black women. So I mean, he's used to the curves, I guess, whatever. And then so then Kirsten and Shaquille. So Kirsten is mad because what Clint said, and she's kind of going on about that with Shaquille, and Shaquille is like defending Clint. And I think the way that he defended him was wrong, like the way that he said it, because if he had said, hey, listen, yeah, Clint, it's okay to have your preferences, but Clint did it at the wrong place at the wrong time, that just wasn't the way to do it. He just was like, well, he's just telling the truth and da da da. And I think what it is that he's feeling like, um, I'm telling my truth and I'm being myself, and Clinton's being himself, and you guys aren't accepting us for being ourselves. I think that's what it is. I think because every time you look at Shaquille, he looks a little like he's always looking down, and like, oh, is she gonna throw me a bone? Is there any hope that she's eventually gonna ever be into me or something like that? And then she starts going on. She starts going off on him because she doesn't like the way that he's sticking up for him. And then she starts saying, like, see, this is what I'm talking about. Like, you're always joking all the time, and I don't like you joking around. And he's like, well, like she gave some example of him joking, and it didn't seem to be anything crazy. But I was like, come on now. We already, listen, Kirsten, you don't need to talk about him joking all the time. I don't think he jokes to that extent. Like, he's worse now. Listen, Mac is the one that jokes too much, all right? I don't think Shaquille is that bad when it comes to the joking. It's just you don't have the chemistry with him, and you're pretending because I don't know if you don't want to get fined or whatever it is, that they do financially, because you're not like giving it, the old college try from the very beginning. So, and she's like, I just want you to be you, honey. I just want you to be you. And I'm like, you don't want that. He said that too. You don't want that. I mean, because when he is himself, you don't want that, and that's okay. I mean, I mean, I wouldn't be. I mean, I'm not saying he's like I think he's a decent looking guy and everything like that, but I wouldn't be attracted to him either. I mean, I don't know what I would do if I was in that situation, but I wouldn't keep telling him to stop being himself. I would just be like, okay, let me just let this ride out because he ain't my type. I mean, what are you gonna do? I signed up for this experiment, but she just doesn't like him, right? And we saw it on the after party. Did you guys watch the after party? So now, okay, this is the big confrontation between, Gina and Clinton. She was kind of like holding it back a little bit. And finally, she lets him know about how she feels about what he said. And he's saying, like, it's basically tit for tat, right? He's getting back at her, and he's saying that, no, I'm just, I'm not saying anything, against people who have your shape. It's just, this is what I usually date. And it's like, Gina, what can you say? I mean, what can you say? You told his family that you were, in so many words, not really attracted to him because he wasn't quite your type. And then she starts going on about this ex-boyfriend of hers who, had, what did she say? Like he had a red beard. She didn't say he had red hair, but he had a red beard. Now listen, if somebody has a red beard, but their hair isn't red, then that means that their beard is typically it's like a reddish tone, not like a bright, you don't have a bright red beard and black hair. It doesn't work like that, right? So that guy's hair probably was a little bit closer to red than what she's saying, just a little bit. And but even so, I mean, that's still a beard, okay? That's not the whole head and everything like that. And she was saying, like, and he said to her, well, what about, you using the term, calling me ginger and stuff like that? That's offensive. And, I mean, I've I've never heard that the word is particularly offensive, but let's just say that I've never heard it used in a positive way towards someone with red hair. So I was like, maybe that's more like just a lack of knowledge on her part, especially since she doesn't date redheads, so she wouldn't know. But I mean, whatever this is, it's just, she's like, oh no, but I like redheads. I do their hair all the time. Mixing color up in a bowl for someone to create a red tone is not the same as someone being born with red hair. She knows the difference. She's kind of playing around, but I just would appreciate it if they were both just like, look, you know what? We really weren't into each other. They should have never had Clint on the show to begin with, but just be a little bit more upfront about this, right? What'd you say, Susan? You never heard of anyone called you mean in a positive way, right? Yeah, I mean it's or you've never heard the term ginger at all, because I never heard the term ginger until I was like in my 30s. And I was like, ginger. I was like, why did they say that? Because we just where I grew up, and we had a fair amount of redheads. Because there were a lot of Irish and Scots Irish in my grade school. So I mean, we didn't, that was just like people's hair color, and a lot of times they had, you know, their texture was kind of curly or whatever. But I mean, it's kind of sparked this whole national debate. Remember when we had the a couple of seasons back when Bow was on, and Bow, oh, you've never heard of it at all. Oh, okay. Yeah. I mean, I don't know if that's more of a new thing or something, but yeah, I didn't hear about that until my 30s. So I don't know where that started necessarily, um, but excuse me, what was I gonna say? What was I gonna say? There was something I wanted to say about I talked about when he said, when Eris was trying to like say that Nicole is not into Chris. I thought that was so shady. But anyway, yeah, we'll see next week what happens with these couples. I mean, I'm waiting. Oh, this is going to be an explosive season. This is a good season. I am waiting to see what happened in those little clips. So I won't say what happened in the clip. If you guys didn't see it, the clip that they played last week. Usually I'm one of those people who likes to fast forward through the commercials because it comes on kind of late anyway. For me, it's like over here on the East Coast, it comes on at like 8, and it goes on for like an hour and a half, 2 hours. That's kind of late. That's why I don't do my reviews at 10 o'clock at night. I mean, who the hell is going to be up watching my review at that time? So I figure I'll just come in here in the morning, come chat with you guys. But that episode I'm waiting for, and I feel like we're not going to get it next week because what they show for next week, I mean, that looked good too. That looked good too. So, Kirsten looks like, maybe finally those little bells are ring ding 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 in her head. Like, listen, the F boy has officially entered the building, and this is not who you want to be with. He's telling you in so many words that he's not attracted to you. And do you guys remember when Eris and excuse me, when Eris and Jasmine were talking about they had just finished meeting up with everybody, and Clint said what he said, and Eris goes like, oh, it's really hard to, he said that, oh, okay, I remember what he said. He goes, well, basically, Gina and Clint low key called each other ugly, and he was like, oh, that's, they were so mature. That's a level of maturity that I will never be able to get to. And it's like, Jasmine, read between the lines. Listen to what he's saying. He's never going to be able to tell you that he finds you unattractive. And, and I hope he never tells her that. I mean, she's going to watch the show. And I mean, I'm sure she's not stupid. She's picking up things now, but it seems to me her focus is more like, well, I have this pressure to make him fall in love with me, right? I have to make him, I got to get him to that place. But the thing is that you can't do that. I mean, chemistry is chemistry, and he's been with her long enough with his personality and his history and all these other things, all together. He's not going to be able to get there, and he's not going to try either. He's just, come on, we all know what he's about. He's for the streets. He should have never signed up for this show. Him and Clint from day one, I was like, oh my God. And you hope to be wrong. You hope they prove you wrong, blah, 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 but it just doesn't happen. I don't know. But anyway, we'll see what happens next week. So if you guys like the video, please give it a thumbs up. Please subscribe. Please share the video. I also have posted some new videos, or posted a new video if you guys are interested in crafting. I'm working on some new sweaters right now. And so if you guys are interested in that, just go ahead and check it out. I also have playlists for you guys if you want to see, like, because I do Love After Lockup. I also do 90 Day Fiance the other way. I do Native American craft talking. So just go on and find some videos that will tickle your fancy, if you will. So let's meet up next week and see what these people are talking about, and see if anybody gets slapped next week, honey. So this is going to be really good. Yes, thank you, Susan, for joining in. It's always good chatting with you. I got somebody to talk to. But anyway, take care, stay safe. See you next week. Chippy Selection.